Marty, I'm thinking of a song.
Alex, please, not now.
Oh, yes, it's a wonderful song. I think you're familiar with it. Da 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 da.
Oh no, you don't. No. I'm not listening.
Start spreading the news.
I don't know you.
I'm leaving today. We are a
He's
great
funny.
big part of it. Come on, you know the words. 2 little words.
New York.
New York.
Oh, shut up! Can't slip in here.
Caesar of Rome, when the Caesars of Rome went into Britannia, their operations, their seat of government for Rome in Britannia was in the city of York, England. So now we've got the Vatican backing the British monarchy and coming into and in York, England, but now we have it moving into America and to New York, the Empire State.
Getting back to the Bolshevik Revolution, one of the ironies of it is that both Lenin and Trotsky were in exile, one in Germany, one in the United States. Tell us about who helped them get where they were going to make sure that revolution was pulled off.
Well, let me summarize about 4 chapters into 4 minutes. Trotsky was in New York, so there is no question that Woodrow Wilson, who issued the passport for Trotsky, and the New York financiers who financed Trotsky, and the British Foreign Office allowed Trotsky to perform his part in the revolution. Now over in Switzerland you get Lenin, who was in exile. He went through Germany in the famous sealed train by permission and with the encouragement of the German General Staff. And yet Germany and Britain were supposed to be fighting each other. And you get them both moving these 2 key revolutionaries into place inside Russia. And then, of course, the rest is history. They created the revolution with no more than about 10,000 revolutionaries. They needed assistance from the West, and they got assistance from Germany, from Britain, and from the United States to continue and consolidate the revolution.
Just tell us all over again why.
Why?
Just tell
you won't
it
find
again.
this in the textbooks. Why is to bring about, I suspect, a plan to control world society in which you and I won't find the freedoms to believe and think and do as we believe.
Did these power brokers actually envision at that time a one-world government that would be socialist?
Yes. The second statement I made was that they did not want the Soviet Union to develop into another free enterprise society, and that this would offset it. Aiding the revolution would offset this event. That was made as a statement in 1919. You have various books, one by Gillette, the razor blade Gillette, called The City, I think it was, which laid out this corporate socialism for the world to see as early as, 1905, 1910. So around the turn of the century, you begin to see actually written statements by these internationalist businessmen of the kind of socialist empire they wanted to bring about. It's there, but these books, of course, are not included in your courses in political science and history at the regular universities.
Can you keep a secret, my monochromatic friend? Do you ever see any penguins running free around New York City? Of course not. We don't belong here. It's just not natural. This is all some kind of whacked-out conspiracy. We're going to the wide-open spaces of Antarctica. To the wild.
The wild? You can actually go there? That sounds great.
Your family was awakened in the middle of the night by a team of federal officers. Well, that's exactly what happened to a woman and her children in Granville County.
Amanda Lamb is in the newsroom joining us now. And Amanda, we understand that because this case falls under the Patriot Act, a lot of the usual rights for defendants not available here.
That's right, David. The Patriot Act was created after 9/11. It allows federal agents to investigate suspected cases of terrorism swiftly in order to better protect our country. Annette Lundaby says 10 armed FBI agents, along with 3 local officers, stormed her home looking for her son. They handcuffed him and presented her with a search warrant.
They didn't find anything.
The teenager was taken to a juvenile facility in Indiana, where the bomb threat was supposedly made. His mother has had little access to him since his arrest. She says the Patriot Act stripped her son of his right to due process.
And we have no rights under the Patriot Act to even defend them, because the Patriot Act supersedes, basically, is superseding the Constitution.
There's nothing a matter of public record. All those normal rights are just suspended in the air.
Never in my worst nightmare did I ever think that it would be my own government that I would have to protect my children from. This is the United States, and I feel like I live in a third world country now.
Lundaby says this type of case is not what the Patriot Act was intended for. Boyce agrees.
It was to protect the public.
It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Guys, we're running out of time.
Oh, Melvin, you broke their plot.
Liberty was also attacked in Boston last week in an alarming scene that was scarier than the bombing event itself. Forced lockdown of an entire city, military tanks riding through the streets, warrantless door-to-door searches by 1,500 militarized police forcing families out of their homes at gunpoint. What may look like a scene from the latest big-budget Hollywood movie was actually America's first taste of martial law following the Boston bombing. Ron Paul called the scene deeply disturbing in a recent interview.
Those pictures really concern me. That is such a visual image when you see thousands and thousands of troops, and they weren't your local friendly policemen that were involved. I mean, can you imagine all these people being locked? They became prisoners. It was accepted too easily. It was martial law.
Even gun-grabbing liberal Bill Maher sees the writing on the wall.
Show some of the pictures of the Boston police, okay? Look at this. I mean, if this is what you have, why don't you invade a country? Show some of the other ones. I mean, go up to Canada, take their oil. Look at these. These are half-tracks. I don't care what you might want to call it, an urban assault vehicle, but this country is becoming a police state, and it is very troubling to me.
The excuse for the complete military takeover of Watertown, Massachusetts was the manhunt for a 19-year-old accused of committing a horrific crime. What normally would have been a police investigation quickly turned into the complete military occupation of an American city, conditioning us to believe that it's the government's job to keep us safe.
Here's what Albert Pike, as far back as 1871, wrote to Giuseppe Mazzini. He said, quote, "We shall unleash the nihilist and the atheist, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all of its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, the origins of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and then the multitude of the world, disillusioned with Christianity, but whose deistic spirits will be from that moment without compass or direction, but anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out into public view, a manifestation which will result in the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time." Read over that and think about what you're reading. That was written as far back as 1871 about the world minority of revolutionaries bringing to the world terrorism. And it says, "We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists," showing that this has been planned as far back as 1871.